Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Today, doing a full tank review on the T-150. You can see it here in the garage. This is a Russian Tier 6 heavy tank. And welcome to the world of some good armor and some slow tanks. Let's take a quick look here at the tech tree, and I'll show you where we're at. We've just come from the KV1, or you've come from the KV2. Down to the bottom here to the T-150. This line goes to the KV3. KV4 is a difficult tank to grind, but it is rewarded once you get to the STI and the IS4, with the IS4 currently being my favorite Tier 10 tank that I own. So the grind is worth it. This tank can be a little bit frustrating at times, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. Let's take a look at the characteristics here. You're going to start out with only 550 horsepower engine. You'll want to quickly get that up to 770 because this tank is slow and kind of painful to drive in some regards. You're also going to start out with a 57 millimeter gun, 22 rounds per minute. Your pen is 118 and you're only doing 90 damage per shot. And a little pew-pew gun. Suggest you move up as fast as you can to the 85 millimeter gun with 8.7 rounds per minute, and you've got 125 pen on it, and you're doing 200 damage. You'll then have to upgrade the turret before you can get to the 107 millimeter gun, and you can see here we now have a whopping 175 millimeters of pen, but in regards to that, we're only doing 320 damage on a rounds per minute of 4.77. So if you're playing this gun, and this is one of the first times you really have to focus on when you use HE. If you look at the HE there, we're getting 59 on the pen, and we're doing 400 damage. So you really need to pay close attention to that, being able to switch down to HE, especially when you see any. Let's just real quick go to the light tanks, pull up the VK 2808, and we'll look here. Front is 60, but everywhere else is less than 59. So take a look at the Type 64 here, 12. Okay, so that's definitely a tank we want to be aiming HE at. 25, 22. So again, make sure when you're driving this tank, you're carrying some HE, and you know when to switch it. So you still got to pay attention now to the armors on some of these other tanks that are out there. As far as the setup I have right now, repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline, standard for me. Extra combat rations, protective kit, and improved fuel. And then ammunition here, you can see with the top gun with good pen. I've got 29 rounds of AP, 10 rounds of APCR, which you don't really need that often. But if you do need it, remember to buy it with the credit buttons to the right, and then 15 rounds of HE. As far as the equipment goes, because I'm looking at using HE, I am running calibrated shells, and you can see here plus 10% for high explosives. So that's going to add us 5 more millimeters of pen to get us up to that 59. So quite important for this gun, even though it would be nice to run the gun rammer and get that rate of fire up. But I'm running the defense system and improved optics, and you can see here I've gone ahead and loaded that gun lane drive to get our aim time down. If you are to continue on, this is one tank that I do see fairly frequently in tournaments, then I'd probably run with the enhanced armor and then run with the engine accelerator as well as the vertical stabilizer. Alright, so I wanted to pull up Armor Inspector real quick just to give you an idea of what this tank looks like when you're in it from a shooter perspective. I've got the AMX 12T as the shooter, so we've got a light tank here, and you can see from the front there's a lot of green. So this tank is best played by angling it, playing it kind of as a side scraper, take your shot, get back to cover. Only show steeply inclined sides there, and you should be pretty safe. But if you get that front part exposed, you can see here we've got a lot of green. Alright guys, so here are the three guns that are on the T-150. The 107 Zeiss 6 is there on the left, and that's the one I recommend. The 85mm is in the middle, and then the initial gun, the 57mm that comes when you first buy the tank there, and you can see it's quite enticing, the damage per minute numbers that these two smaller guns offer. But keep in mind that there's a couple factors here. You've got some fairly low penetration numbers, 119 and 112, compared to our 167 on the 107mm. And then also, having just shown you the armor profile there with all of that green in the front, you can see here we've only got 90mm in the front on the hull. So really, this is kind of a vulnerable tank in my opinion from a heavy perspective because of that. So this tank plays much better as more of a peek-a-boom style tank. Take your shot, back out, hide, wait for that long reload, then get back out, take another shot, and do as much damage as possible that way. So now I want to move over and just take a look at all of the heavy tanks here at tier 6 and where we compare. You can see here I don't have any equipment loaded on this, so at 1546 we are next to last behind the KV-1S. The ARL, which I believe to be the best tier 6 heavy, comes in there at 1863. We do have better than average pen number of 167, again that ARL top of class, and we're doing 320 in damage, which outside of the KV-1S, and I threw in the 152mm on the KV-2 because the KV-2 also has the same 107mm gun option as a T-150, and the stats are exactly the same. So outside of those two, we're doing a good bit of damage with each shot. Shell velocity there is kind of mediocre at 830. I could see some arguments to going with the supercharge there. That would get it up to over 1,000. But anyway, if we move down to weapon handling, you can see here 3.08 seconds on our aim time. Outside of KV-2, this is the worst out there. So is the dispersion. So this is a tank, like I said, you want to play it slow and make sure you can use your full aim time to take your shot. Now, movement and mobility, I touched on the fact that this tank does feel pretty slow. It does have a 35 km/h top speed, which obviously here is the slowest of all of these heavies, and it doesn't get any easier as you work your way up to the KV-4. And it's just one of those things that I like a nice mobile heavy tank, which is why I like that VK36 and the ARL. They just both feel like they just feel that they're better on the battlefield in maneuverability. You can see here we've got 7 degrees of negative gun depression. That is obviously worst in class, but we can work with it. It's not horrible. And just moving on down here, let's look at these 90-day averages. 54% on the win rate, average damage of 936. So try to work yourself above that and be better than average. And now we'll jump into some gameplay. Alright, gonna start out the first game here as top tier. You can see I'm one of 2 tier 6s in this battle on mines. As always with mines, you want to take the center hill. And you can see as we start, we're going to push up the middle, and going to have a guy go straight by me. And then we're going to watch this Sherman roll up here and just get annihilated. And they've all grouped up here, as can be expected. Looks like I had a little bit of lag there, but we just get tracked, no damage. And look at this, we can see over this rock here, and we can put a shot into the BDR. I've got a couple lights here trying to just deal with heavies right in front of them. And I get a little greedy here and trying to get the kill shot and miss. One of the downsides, obviously, to have a long loading gun that does a lot of damage. If you get a target like that, and we'll do the same here on this Anko, just getting 74 damage with that shot and waiting for the long reload. But in my opinion, getting a gun out of the battle is certainly well worth it. And you can see here we are in trouble. Leo's not much longer for this game, and we are down a tank. Starting to turn it around here, putting the shot here into the KV-1S. And you can see that T1 is on the other side of the hill here. I want to go ahead and get rid of this Type 58. So we'll go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, KV-1S there, I'm not sure if he's looking at me. Sure enough, he is, so I'm not sure if he's loaded. But you see how I angle here and back down just in case he shoots. He's going to turn that turret and give us the side as he finishes off the other tanks. Now it's just me and against there too. But we're going to get reloaded and finish him off. And T1 was on the other side, so I'm going to speed this up because I'm not sure where T1 has gone. But with 4 minutes left, figured I would have spotted him there, proximity spotted if he'd have been going up the hill. But we're going to push into the cap and let him come to us. So what I'm going to do here is just turn around. Obviously want your armor in front. And there he is, up on the hill. We can go ahead and aim in, and we're backing up, and he gets us in the track, no damage. And so I repair it, and we can just go behind the building. And part of this peek-a-boom strategy, doing more damage than the T1 even if he shoots me. So let's back up. We've got a longer reload, and again there, he bounces that shot. So we'll sit behind the building here and just wait. Reload, and he bounces another shot. And we take our time and make sure that last shot goes in. So, you can see there the struggles of the T1 to penetrate an angled T-150 that was hitting it from the front. We do 2,617 in damage and get 4 kills out of that battle. 11 shots landed and missed that kill shot on the BDR there. Second game here on Himmelsdorf as top tier. I want to use this as an example. If you look up in the top corner there, you'll see the opponents have 3 mediums and 4 lights. There is no way that they are going to go down the heavy alley. They're going rails. So I decide I'm going to make the call, everyone to section 4, which is the rail side, and we're just going to push up there and we're going to meet them where we know they're going to be. Except that doesn't work out too well. You'll watch our ARL, and I believe it's the BDR. They go on their merry little way and drive, and I'm even trying to guide them this way. But it really ends up costing us this game, which is quite frustrating. And you can keep an eye on them in the mini map there as they circle around, and by the time they're engaging the enemy reds, we're pretty much all dead at the time. So they have been spotted up obviously here, and I'm just peeking around the corner. Now what I'm going to do here is start angling, side scraping off the side of this building. And part of the reason that I have put this game in is because you'll see the guy in front of me here. Number one, he's pulling out in front of me. I'm properly angled so that I get bounces like that, and he is pulling out sideways. So take what he's doing and don't do it, and follow what I'm doing, and you will end up living a little bit longer in these games and doing a little bit more damage. So you can see he's just going to pull out here. He is now almost dead. And this is one of these games that you just wonder, was it rigged against us? Because here I'm shooting on the M6 and bounce the side. So not much I can do at this point. They are all pushing in on me. And I've got a light tank with no armor, so I switch over to HE and only get 137 roll. If you shoot too close to the tracks, you know, you're not going to get any pen. So really should have shot AP on him on the first round, and he would have been dead at that point in time with the second shot I got into him. But you can see now our heavies have gone through the middle of the map, and they basically are just now getting engaged. So a little bit on the frustrating side. We got the ARL, which is, we've said it before, probably the best tank, the heavy tank. And you know, he's going to make it close, but not to be. So we end up doing 1,021 in damage, and you know, just use that as an example of how to side scrape a little bit off of these buildings. Okay, on this game we are bottom tier on Mirage, and we've got a decent mix. I figured everyone is gonna probably want to go middle, but I see some tanks turning this way, so I head over to the waterfall. And unfortunately our lights and meds don't really hold their end of the game, and this one goes sideways a little bit early. But you can see here we've got KV-1S pulled up, and we're going to bounce off of that one. Dracula's over there, pushing through. We've already lost one tank from that KV-2, I guess. So I'm just going to pull around to the side of the waterfalls here. And you can see the rest of my team's engaged behind me. But obviously there's some nice cover here. Make sure we're aimed properly on that KV-1S, and he's just going to come at us. So I'm dropping adrenaline at this point in time, hoping that he comes around the corner and we're ready to fire, which we are. And we're just going to trade shots there and get some help and taking him out. Wait for the SU to pass by and get a shot into the T-29. Waiting on this long reload, and at this point in time we're only down a tank, but well, make that two now. Kind of all spaced out, not really working together. Got a KV-2 behind me, KV-13 ahead. Just trying to help this guy stay alive a little bit longer, and we'll get the KV-13 taken out, but Dracula's gonna get our AMX there. See Dracula coming in fast at me, so we get a shot. He bounces because I got a nice angle on him. Take a big shot from the KV-2. We knew that was coming. And really it's just a matter of time on this game, but we do finish off the Dracula. And I'm pulling up the hill figuring probably can't get away from this KV-2, and I see he's right behind me. I'm going to try to back down and get one more shot before he finishes me off. And you know, you can't win them all in this game. It is what it is, even as bottom tier here. We certainly pulled our fair share at 25-62 and 2 kills. You can just see that we had some guys that didn't really help out there. Alright, so had this game earlier today on Oasis Palm. We are bottom tier, and you can see Dark Magician Girl calls right. Now, I don't know if any of you know him, but he is a really good player, 70 plus win rate. Look at some of his tier 10 tanks, and he's got 3,000 average damage, over 100 battles in him. So, not going to argue with it. You know, it just gives me the opportunity to talk about the 7 degrees of gun depression on this tank. Usually like to bring out American heavies into this area because you can use that really nice gun depression to get hull down. But we're going to kind of stay low on the ridge lines, which you can see makes it difficult for us to get shots in. We've got some guys here sitting on top of the dunes. I obviously don't recommend that. And we bounced that shot off of the IS-2. And we're just playing patient. And you can see we've got a medium that has rushed into the red side there. He's in trouble. We've got a TD in their spawn. And sure enough, Cromwell's gone. We're just being patient. We're waiting for guys on the other side to make mistakes like that and come into view. A little bit frustrating because we have tanks beside me that all would have had shots on him, but you know, they're not using the mini-map. They're not looking around. They are zoomed in, waiting for one particular person to pop open. And really got to keep your head on a swivel, especially in games like this. So now I'm seeing that Helsing push around and figure there's opportunity here for me to help out a little bit and get some different angles. Obviously we're all sitting clumped in the same spot. If any one of us doesn't have shots, none of us do. So gonna just try to work the map here and get around for some different shots. There's the trouble with that gun depression. And KV2 is right there. He's now seen us. He stops and allows us to get kill number 1. We're going to back up behind this rock because that IS is looking right at us. And, you know, we're just going to peek out, take our shot, and hide back to cover. We're not going to give him much of a target at all. So I was expecting him either to back up or go into the cover of buildings and hoping I could get a shot in there. He finally does back up, but I get spotted, so I'm just going to drop on into the ravine here. Tiger's pushed around for them, but I'm thinking this IS is my primary target at this point, and you can see Helsing's pushed around and he has uncovered the ARL. So IS is focused on the Helsing, rightfully so. You got 2 guys on one. Go ahead and get him out, but we're able to, well, take that back. Bounce a shot off the back of the IS. It's a little bit frustrating. Just wasn't aimed properly. But trying to face hug here and get into a position where he might hit my gun mantlet and bounce. You can see there, not giving much of a target at all to the ARL. And he too is going to bounce. We'll aim for that lower plate and get it. Nice little bounce there on the side from the IS-2. And he's going to face hug us, which is fine with me because gives me protection from that ARL, and we're able to finish him off. And we pull forward quick enough to avoid the shot from the IS-2. And we're fortunate enough to reload in time to get kill number 4. So, level 1 mastery, 2467, bottom tier, and we outplayed Dark Magician Girl there in that game. Nine shots landed. Alright guys, so last game here, and I'm not sure why the recording started right here, but wanted to show this game on Copperfield. It was kind of an exciting game and good finish. But we pushed up to the heavy side, and they did not bring really tanks through here, so it's just ended up getting into a whole heap of mess here with all these other tanks, and we lose a few good hit points there early on. Those guys are certainly taking their time to finish off that KV-1S. And I'm not sure, my first shot bounced on them, and obviously I'm a little hesitant to pull forward getting shot. It's only 70 a shot, but I did take a big one from over there, so obviously they're sitting in that area. So gonna go ahead and make my run for it here, and we'll get a shot into the side of the KV-1S. Again, figuring that our guys will take him out. There we go. So 4-on-4 at this point in time, and taking a look at this KV-2, hoping that he'll come around and start to back up, and this KV-2's blocked me, but at least he finishes off the KV-2. Nothing I hate more than getting blocked from being able to back up. Two guys behind us, and this MT-25 has kind of been sitting here the whole time. Would love to be able to take a snapshot there, but with such a long reload, it's really not worth it. And you know, this goes back to me trying to do things I really don't need to with the HE. AP shot there would have finished him off, but I didn't realize he was going to get shot right before I did that. But we ended up finishing him off. And the two tanks up there, their AMX and the Type 58, finish off our guy, and our AMX is a one shot, so don't really want him pushing forward, but we finish off the Type 58, and we're just kind of hiding behind these rocks here as much as we can. AMX obviously has got his eyes on taking out the gun, which he does. We're going to shoot him and drop down into this hole for some protection, hoping to get turned, but he gets a shot right here into the side, and we are trying to reload, and we just have enough room to finish him off for kill number 3. And this map was made for this tank, really. Just want to be close quarters, taking your shot, backing up. We did 2493, 3 kills, good enough for a mastery badge there. We were aided a little bit by that KV-2 getting some extra shot in there, extra damage. But you know, I think you kind of saw there, the tank is a little bit slow. You are going to get some good bounces on it, particularly if you can get yourself angled up nicely. If not, face hug and hope that they're aimed for that gun mantlet, and you'll get some bounces off of that for sure. But again, yeah, it's kind of entering a new world of these slower heavies. I mean, the KV-1 certainly was more mobile than this, but overall, you know, it does have a decent gun if you give it time to aim. It does have great penetration. You're going to struggle a little bit with that gun depression, but it is well worth the grind. Trust me, getting up to the IS-4. So hope you guys do well. Learned a few things here, and as always, stay safe. Get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.